in-depth, investigative. This is KXAN News Today.
Hundreds of people are staying warm in these freezing temperatures thanks to overnight shelters here in Austin. Good morning, I'm Tom Miller. The city opening them up again last night after hundreds took shelter Tuesday night. As KXAN's Grace Reeder explains, February is one of the most deadly months for people sleeping outside.
Austin Travis County EMS says it ran 7 cold-related illness calls Tuesday overnight into Wednesday as temperatures plummeted well below freezing. Of those patients, 4 were transported to area hospitals.
The good news is that we haven't transported anybody in critical life-threatening condition. Everyone has been awake and talking, so that leads us to believe that they're probably going to be okay.
According to Austin's Homeless Strategy Office, 386 individuals utilized the city's overnight cold weather shelters. An additional 4 families sought shelter and were given a voucher to stay at area hotels. The executive director of the Ending Community Homelessness Coalition, or ECHO, joined me for today's episode of Inside Austin's Agenda to talk in part about how dangerous these conditions are for people living unhoused.
It's devastating to think about folks living, even surviving right now outside as it's, 30 degrees and we know it's going to be in the 20s. And maybe even low teens tonight and tomorrow morning.
A new mortality report from ECHO shows between 2018 and 2023, there were at least 36 known deaths from environmental exposure among people experiencing homelessness. And we know there are more. During the cold snap just last month, EMS told us they responded to 2 weather-related fatalities, both outside and both of apparent hypothermia.
Well, I think it's an important report because I think it's really incumbent upon any community to be able to catalog death in their community. And it also gives us really good data and information about how we need to improve our services to folks.
Grace Reeder, KXAN News.
The city's overnight cold weather shelters are going to be open later today and Friday night as well for anyone who is seeking a warm place to sleep. And meteorologist Kristen Curry is joining me here. Another just freezing cold night.
Absolutely frigid. We broke temperature records yesterday, even in the afternoon. It was so cold, but the wind chills.
I know.
It has been a while since we've seen wind chills this cold. And unfortunately, like yesterday, we are waking up to a very cold start. Clouds and radar this morning showing clear skies, though. So we know that yesterday's nice little snowflake, kind of snow globe feeling we had in the morning will not be a repeat this morning. A live look outside emphasizing those clear skies up in North Austin from our Indeed domain camera. We look at our wind chills and you're finding single digits and teens out there. It feels like 2 in Llano. It feels like 13 in Austin, 9 in Bastrop, 3 in Mason. You got to make sure you have that heavy coat with you. Forecast high only 37. The winds will gradually lighten up later today, but still quite breezy this morning at 5 to 15, gusts up to 20. We're going to get some good sunshine in here for today. Coming up, a couple more cold days ahead, especially at night. A couple hard freezes still in the forecast. We do have a risk of freezing drizzle, though. We're going to talk about when that comes into the forecast, plus a big warm up after that risk of wintry mix. I've got a lot to tell you. Details coming up in your first warning weather.
Thank you, Kristen. As Hays County continues to boom, so too is the number of people without enough food. There's a new report from the Central Texas Food Bank showing 1 in 6 adults in the county may struggle to get healthy food on the table. KXAN's Sam Stark breaking down the contributing factors.
When Augustine Padilla went grocery shopping as recently as 2021, his receipt looked considerably different.
I remember having a good list of groceries that I had ordered, and I tried reordering that same exact grocery list over earlier last week, and the price went up almost 3 times.
Padilla said expensive groceries and increases in the cost of living in Hays County have strained his wallet.
I've kind of cut down on a lot of other, things that I would love to do and stuff like that.
It's reasons like these that have led to more families in the county becoming food insecure. The Central Texas Food Bank put out a report showing that roughly 16% of the county struggles with access to healthy food.
Looking at just our numbers, that we added 6,000 new families in 2024.
Lisa Young is the executive director of the Hays County Food Bank, a partner agency to the Central Texas one. She said in 2024, her her organization helped more people get access to food than ever before.
We all know just how big the need is here. It's been rising ever since 2023.
Young said less access to SNAP benefits and high costs, including for prescription drugs, are driving factors behind a more food insecure county.
People say they can't afford their prescriptions because the groceries are so high, but we've also had people come to us saying they've never used the food bank before, but now they don't have enough money because they paid for prescriptions.
Young said the food bank is opening a new, larger location soon, which will help them further assist the community. In Hays County, Sam Stark, KXAN News.
Now, according to a 2022 government study, prices for both generic and name brand drugs were almost 3 times higher in the U.S. than other countries, certainly not helping. Going in depth on this, there also comes the egg-wide shortage, or the nationwide egg shortage, I should say. Bird flu rapidly spreading through dairy cows and wild birds. As of Wednesday, bird flu has been detected in more than 12,000 wild birds, nearly 163 million chickens, and 972 dairy herds. With a spread like that comes the need for killing millions of chickens every month, and that is causing those egg prices to skyrocket, with some stores rationing their sales. Right now, the average price for a dozen grade A eggs is nearly $5. The U.S. Department of Agriculture expects that will soar by another 20% this year. Good morning. This is a live look outside from our Indeed Domain Tower camera up there in North Austin here early on this Thursday. Happy to have you with us. Want to tell you about this. There's a new road north of Leander facing a slight delay. These frigid temperatures we've been dealing with, and yesterday specifically, pushed back the groundbreaking ceremony. It's for Williamson County's new CR 255 project, meant to create a safer road and a new connection to Ronald Reagan Boulevard. The ceremony now scheduled for tomorrow. County leaders say this latest project is part of a future plan for a 6-lane divided roadway.
The spring storm season is just around the corner. It's going to be here before you know it. Today, we're going to be learning a little bit about how you can learn more about storms, and by attending a program that Troy Kimmel is going to talk to us about today. Troy, thank you for being with us. It's called Skywarn. What is Skywarn?
Well, Skywarn goes back initially and still heavily is a National Weather Service effort, Rich, that through the years, and it has a lot to do with severe weather. I think it kind of started out Skywarn to kind of help us in recognition of things we see in the sky in regards to severe weather. And I think more of, Rich, where we are now is not only to learn more about the atmosphere and learn how to recognize things that we need to know, but also to remain safe while doing that. There's no way in the world that you need to get out there and get yourself in trouble and realize you are in trouble from that severe weather when you're trying to report something.
Who should attend this program?
Anyone can attend. We've had from first graders on up, just people that are interested in weather.
So when will this take place? What time and where will it be held?
Well, it'll be held on the St. Edwards campus in the auditorium there. It will be on Saturday. It's the 1st of March. It will be in the morning hours. They'll be doing both a basic and advanced Skywarn for the course of the morning. We should wrap up by about noon or so. If you've never been to this before, and a lot of people come in brand new, that's great. But we also have people been coming to Skywarn here in Austin for the last 15 to 20 years.
Troy, where can people go to learn more information and to sign up for the free parking?
Well, Rich, that's pretty basic, pretty simple. Go to weather.gov/E as in Edward, W as in William, X as in X-ray. That's the National Weather Service Austin San Antonio webpage. Go look underneath the headlines. Very top of the page, it'll say Spotter Sessions 2025. Click in there. Look for that March 1st date.
Troy, I appreciate your time today. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Troy Kimmel, a longtime former broadcast meteorologist here in Austin, in case that voice or that face sounds familiar. Hey, NASA reporting that the chances of Earth getting hit by an asteroid have gone up just slightly, but the space agency described it as a potential city killer. Alina Shariza shares more about when that asteroid might hit and what could be done to stop it.
NASA calling this asteroid a city killer if it does hit, and the probability keeps on going up. Right now, we are at 3.1%, which is effectively a 1 in 32 chance that it actually would hit Earth. But NASA has tools in their toolbox to examine the scope and magnitude of this asteroid. In March, NASA's James Webb Telescope will start to use its mid-infrared instruments to study the thermal energy, which is essentially another tool in figuring out how the size of the asteroid and what exactly where it will hit. Officials with NASA tell me the chance of it hitting should get lower as we get closer to 2032, the year this asteroid is projected to hit Earth. NASA officials also have pointed to other asteroids in the past that they have handled with things like the DART mission, also called the Double Asteroid Redirection Test. In 2022, they successfully altered an asteroid's orbit, which would be the first time that humans ever did that. And another fact, the Earth is 70% ocean, and we know that this asteroid's path is likely to hover around an empty ocean. Something reassuring there. In Washington, Alina Shirazi, News Nation.
Maybe we should have led with that first, like that last part first, because that at least makes you feel a little better.
And also, not only is most of the Earth ocean, the part that is developed into actual cities on Earth is just a tiny fraction of actual landmass that we have.
Right.
So there's some reasons to be less
I'm not going to stay up at night worrying about it, but it's not a very comfortable feeling on a Thursday morning at 4:45 to know, like, there's an asteroid that is got slightly higher odds of coming towards us. Let me show you what's going on here on Earth today. Clouds and radar showing nothing when it comes to radar. Satellites barely even showing cloud cover. We've got a mainly clear sky as we start the day together. West Shore home camera there, looking out over the city. Crystal clear visibility, no issues at the moment. Hey, temperatures, we've got big issues here. It is cold, teens and 20s as we're walking out this morning. 21 here in Austin, 16 Llano, 17 Fredericksburg. These temperatures even colder than yesterday for some. And with that wind, it feels even colder. Wind chills down to the single digits along and west of Highway 281. Feels like 8 out there in Giddings, 13 in Austin, 9 in Bastrop, 6 Georgetown, 5 in Blanco. Everybody feeling the chill. When we look at where we're going with that afternoon climb, we're only expected to reach the 30s. So still anticipating cold temperatures from start to finish. The big difference, though, is we're not going to get stuck underneath that cloud cover like what we had yesterday. And we're not, unfortunately, going to see any flurries either, as we've got sunny skies expected from start to finish. I will tell you the forecast wind chills this afternoon still showing feels like temperatures below freezing. So heavy coat needed all day with the wind chill in the 20s this afternoon. The extreme cold warning continues until noontime today, mainly to account for those wind chills this morning, but covers up all of us here in Central Texas. All right, when it comes to this freezing rain risk, let's talk about it, because today, as mentioned, sunny skies. Starting tonight, though, a lot of cloud cover being covered up over Central Texas. This is going to continue all day tomorrow. And because we're not expecting sunshine tomorrow, I've dropped your high temperature just a little bit. The thing is, though, is there's a coastal low just off the southeast coast of Texas in combination with an upper level disturbance. I think the two together are going to bring some of that warmer Gulf moisture up and over that cold air down here at the ground, which gives us the potential for some freezing drizzle beginning late tomorrow night into the first part of our Saturday before our temperatures start to slowly warm up above freezing, and then you're seeing that freezing drizzle convert to just plain old liquid drizzle. So I'm not expecting a whole lot in the way of major icing just because the intensity of this is going to be so light. But we are still looking at least the possibility of seeing mainly freezing drizzle. I think sleet, snow will be difficult with this setup. But freezing drizzle starting late tonight into Saturday morning, meaning if you know you're going to be out late tomorrow night or early Saturday morning, be cautious, especially on those elevated roadways. Highs in the 30s today and tomorrow, a couple more freezes overnight. Saturday, we start to transition out of this cold weather pattern, and then we finally start to see temperatures actually get a little bit more comfortable, 60s by Sunday. We have 70s and sunshine expected next week. It looks like we're going to close out February on the warmer side. Even those overnight lows getting a little bit more mild, with 40s expected waking up Monday, Tuesday morning, even 50s by the middle of next week. Tom?
Thank you, Kristen. A new memory support unit focused on dementia care just opened here in Central Texas, and it comes as the Alzheimer's Association says the disease is a growing public health crisis all across the state. KXAN Sarah Alshay walks us through this unit to explain the demand for this kind of care.
28 beds that will be filled with patients with Alzheimer's, anyone with cognitive issues.
Bringing a much-needed resource to the city of Elgin.
There is no other nursing home, so we are the only nursing home in town.
The Elgin Nursing and Rehabilitation Center now has a new unit for those needing specialized care.
This will be a sample room, or model room, if you will, for our memory care folks.
Regional Director of Sales and Business Development, Seth Ferguson, says available beds in Central Texas can be hard to come by.
The company that I work for, which is Well Central Health, we in the Austin area have 4 other facilities with units, or what we call an Alzheimer's or locked unit, and they're completely full.
Ferguson says with more people moving east towards Bastrop County, they decided to expand part of their building.
If we build it, they'll come, because there's no availability.
Combating Alzheimer's also top of mind for state officials. Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick made it his 5th priority this legislative session. It involves creating the Dementia Prevention Research Institute of Texas. He wrote, quote, "This investment will draw leading researchers and companies to Texas and require them to be based in Texas, leading to their further investment in our state."
As our population grows from the elderly, definitely the funding towards those disease processes is definitely needed for us.
Ferguson says they already have a dozen people wanting to move in. He hopes to have them in here in the next month or so.
They know when they leave that we're going to take care of their loved one at the end of the day.
Sarah Alshay, KXAN News.
With more beds available comes the need for more healthcare workers, and through a nonprofit healthcare training program, Ferguson says they train certified nursing assistants at that center. Currently has 12 CNAs in the class, and after getting their license, they will then go on to work for the company. Going in depth on this, the state's Health and Human Services Department unveiled a state plan for Alzheimer's disease through 2028. Some of the strategies here include identifying and addressing gaps and access to services, increasing the number of community healthcare workers, and expanding their role in providing education to underserved communities.
This is KXAN Sports, brought to you by Thomas J. Henry.
Upper Deck is available tonight. That means the NBA returns to Moody Center. Spurs for 2 games and 2 nights, starting with the Phoenix Suns. That means Kevin Durant not only back in Austin, but playing a meaningful game. He spends a lot of time here. 1 year at Texas, 06-07. But since then, he has been a fixture here, a great financial supporter to the University of Texas basketball program, and just such a great influence on the game because Texas was such a great influence on him.
Yeah, this was kind of the foundation and kind of the start, you know, once you leave home and you just kind of jump into the real world. This is my first entry point. So I learned a lot from people. I grew as a human being, which helped me grow on the basketball court, and I never forgot those times that I had here. So I reference a lot of those times when I'm going through stuff in the league, you know. So, and I lean on, you know, my former teammates and our former Texas, you know, my Texas family when I go through a lot of stuff, you know. So this was a vital time in my life, an important time in my life, and I hold on to it dearly.
For the Spurs arriving on Wednesday afternoon, and they are in the middle of that rodeo road trip. So still, it's been a while since they played in San Antonio, and it will be a while. For De'Aaron Fox, of course, acquired some 7 games ago. He's made a big impact, but just happy to be playing in his new home state at least.
For me, the big thing is just being able to play in Texas. Like I said, man, we haven't had anything close to a home game, and I've never experienced anything like this as well. Like when you have your home game, you're at home. And here, obviously, just being able to have 2 home games that are in Austin, or being able to do little things like that, like little quirks like that, I think is fun. And the fans definitely show up and show out.
Late start tonight at 8:30, and as of yesterday, Victor Wembanyama listed as doubtful for tonight's game because of illness. They're back in action tomorrow night at Moody. That's a 7:30 start against the Pistons. Back to you.
7 men from Chile face charges in connection with some high-profile burglaries. The nationwide spree targeted big-name athletes, including Kansas City Chiefs players Travis Kelce, Patrick Mahomes, along with other professional football, basketball, and hockey players. Criminal complaints from federal prosecutors in Florida say the group stole more than $2 million. Investigators even uncovered a photo of 4 of the defendants, this is them, posing with the safe and some of the alleged stolen goods. The men are charged with conspiracy to commit interstate transportation of stolen property. If convicted, they could spend as many as 10 years in federal prison. Coming up, why condo residents were forced out of their homes on a bitterly cold night in Austin. If you're listening on the KXAN Today podcast, thanks for joining us. Hope you'll join us on air for that, or you can always find our stories on our website, KXAN.com.